viste como cuando en TN? Oh,
Yo le mandé.
hi guys. Don't worry. I am live
Give me a second there.
on Denver. So this time we have like three different time zones, three people, three time zones. So I am in Denver,
Mm.
RJ is in Barcelona, Mauro is in Buenos Aires, 8 hour difference. So yeah, happy to be here with you guys from Denver. It's not raining as opposed to Buenos Aires, so I think I had a bargain this time. There is like really good weather here in Denver.
Yeah, is that's very counterintuitive because you would expect like very bad weather, but because it's in the middle of the mountains during the day, the sun is really good.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting that at all when I first went there. But yes, thank you, Diego, for making the effort to be here today. Because Diego is in the middle of the conference, so it's not easy to participate on some of this stuff.
yeah. But there are lots of very cool things going on. Uh, I came here because we are having like several CK talks at CK Hub organized by House of CK. Tomorrow we will be discussing a lot of things related to CK VMs there. I will be moderating one panel, so I wanted to see, check, and we have like several of our friends here. So yeah, it's really nice. And so far there have been like very interesting um, talks and ideas here going on in Denver. I was expecting less technical talks, but really we had like several very good tech talks so far. But well, we can follow your lead, RJ.
Okay, yeah. No, today I wanted to. I think we have first like something important that we need to address. That is the problem with the Holesky testnet that I think Mauro can give more insights. Diego, do you mind? Yes, thank you. Uh, when you talk, the noise canceling actually works, but when you're not talking, it looks like it creates some white noise. Perfect. Thank you. So the idea is to have maybe a few minutes to talk about that and address a problem so people are aware of it, and then we can talk with you, Diego, to learn more about what's going on in Denver and what exciting things are people showing around CK, and you can give us an update because to give us some context to people, um, the three of us are co-founders of Aligned. We want to spend each Friday some minutes to give some updates and also to talk about certain subjects that we find interesting. And in this case, we have a kind of like a special episode with Diego wandering around the conference. And I think it will be fun because we haven't had the chance to talk, the three of us, in the last 2 days. And I think it will be cool to, so you guys can see how we usually talk about these subjects internally. And okay, we also have Boris that we might be able but I don't know where he is. I thought he was with you. We
Yeah,
can we can invite him.
he's with me, but inside House of CKs, I am like on the stages.
Okay. I just sent him the link, so if he wants, he can also join. So, Mauro, do you want to start explaining to people the problem with Koleski and how Align is working with that?
Yes, yes. I will summarize a bit how everything works, and then we can go to the Holesky incident. But Eigenlayer testnet is built on Holesky, that is one of the main chains of for testnets of Ethereum, usually the one that gets upgraded first. Oh, hello, Boris.
Hello, hello.
No.
Sit
So,
down.
I muted you, Boris, because of the background noise, but when you talk, we can hear you very well. It's just in the meantime.
so as I said, like Eigenlayer is testnet is built on top of Holesky, and Align is built on top of Eigenlayer. So we all depend on Holesky for our testnet. Yeah, it had like a big failure after the last upgrade. That was like 2 or 3 days ago. Um, we can talk a little bit more about it, but the the short version is that the last upgrade totally break it. It's totally broken, and it's going to be broken for at least 2 to 3 weeks. So don't expect it to come back alive anytime soon. In the meanwhile, if you are working with a line, you can use a local network and check the guides in infrastructure. It should be really easy to start. You need Docker and some other things, but it should be easy to start. But the testnet is not going to be working. Mainnet is working as usual since there was no problem on Ethereum mainnet. Yeah, let's hope it gets resolved. It is sadly is more up to the Ethereum devs than up to us to fix it.
Yeah, and from what I understood, it's not an easy. It's not just like, hey, everyone should upgrade this. The problem is the network completely forked, and blocks are not getting finalized. So
Ye-
it's a coordination problem as well between all of the validators.
Yeah, this is a very bad scenario. So the bug is wasn't that terrible. The problem is that now that Holesky has too many nodes. I mean, it's a network made to stress test like the consensus mechanism. So it's very, very, very big. Um,
It
you
has 1
have
million
nodes,
validators.
yeah, you have nodes that didn't agree on which is the canonical chain. And at this point, it's totally split between a lot of chains and nodes slashing each other because they think that the other chain is not valid. And even the honest nodes, they might not be on the honest in the sense that they are running the right software and they don't
Yeah.
have any bugs on it. But they not even the honest one are agreeing on the chain. So it's going to be quite a lot of work to fix that. I think that they're trying that. We probably get some more news from the Ethereum people. Uh, yeah, maybe I don't know why they are not rollbacking like the network. They're trying to avoid that, I suppose. Uh, but yeah, with the rollbacks now it's hard. Like there's having patches everywhere. Like the consensus layer has banned like manually some chains. So it is a mess, and it's going to take a bit to fix.
Yeah, it's like I saw someone, actually, someone from Lambda sent this, that like a meme of the multiverse in the Loki movie from Marvel, when you see the screen that it has, that everything starts going to different directions, so you have different universes. We are kind of in that situation with the chain.
Yeah,
So we need
yeah.
to,
They got the split brain.
yeah, exactly. And you need to kill all of those things at the same time. Uh,
There was a
yeah.
talk in Denver here about that problem and how to solve like the multiverses. It was like,
Really?
yeah, yeah. And they were using Doctor Strange, that he saw like billions of universes and in one we win. Well, more or less like that.
Okay.
By the way, Diego,
That's a,
is people talking about this on Denver because it's like the biggest failure of the network for in a while. Like it's a really bad failure. It's like
Yeah, yeah. I talked with some of your friends, Mauro. They send you regards. Then I can tell you.
okay,
okay.
there,
Never mind. Um,
but
yes, it's one of the biggest problems in the last few years, probably. Um,
yeah, it's true
yeah,
though. Like it's a testnet to test things, so it's not that bad. Like there is no real money involved, but it's still not so good that this issue wasn't fine well, until it reaches like the testnet, and now you have like 500,000 validators, and now it's a mess to fix. It would have been easier to fix with 10 nodes on a smaller network, but
well, yeah, like
that's
I think Sepolia is different, right? So probably um, because it doesn't have the proof of stake kind of consensus.
Yeah, Sepolia is more centralized. It's not used to test infra, so it doesn't. It gets upgraded later and it's more stable.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is so for everyone that is interested on this, I believe the Ethereum Discord is one of the best places to follow the news. Tim Bako, that is one of the persons in charge of the technology behind Ethereum, has been giving some updates on Twitter. Hopefully it's out soon. But well, in the meantime, it's kind of a mess. Poor Mauro and Juli from the tech side in Align had to deal with it. At first, they didn't know it was a problem with Koleski. They thought something broke with Align, but it was actually not that case. So we will, when things are run normally and we fix any of the issues in our testnet after Koleski starts working well again, we will give an update in social media and we will let everyone know. But in the meantime, we don't have a public testnet running. I think that's all of it, right, Mauro?
Yeah, that's it. We can continue talking
Okay.
about the conference.
Okay, so let's do the following. Diego and Boris. First, Diego, if you want. What things do you think are the most important things you saw so far in CK? Like, what are the big events? What are people talking about?
Okay, I think that, well, this event that started today by House of CK has very important players discussing things related to VMs, new proof systems, everything. This is going to be really interesting. For example, Polygon has been discussing their new VM, CISC. We have to talk with them. Um, then there was a very good event, but it was focused on, it had a part on infra and another on CK, which was the infra co-organized by Polygon Maiden. Um, it was really nice catching up with the guys. They told us like some exciting news for the future, and we've been discussing a lot. I think that um, Maiden VM is a really cool virtual machine. It has like interesting features designed to be able to do client-side proving, and with that, you can get like, for example, uh, better scalability properties. You can have like a private state. Uh, it was kind of nice seeing that. Um, and then I think that we also had like some events organized by Eigenlayer. I think that was really cool. We went to Suram's talk, and I think he clarified a lot more some things. He talked about Eigen being this verifiable commitment cloud. Uh, so it would be kind of a verifiable AWS. So to put it in simple terms, that was, I think, really good. Um, and then, yeah, it's hard. Boris, can you help me? Uh, I we've been into so many events that really it's hard to keep track of everything.
Yeah, I can definitely jump in. How's my audio? Can you hear me? All right. Good. Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, Denver has been a lot of fun. I've tweeted a bit about my experience here, and it's been just overall very positive, very very bullish. Everyone I've been speaking to is excited. The vibes are high. People are talking about ZK everywhere, discussing app use cases. I got to connect with Yush from ZK Email yesterday. Nice chat. I'm actually at the House of ZK right now. I just found a spot to sit down, but this is what it looks like. And I guess my background's a bit blurred, but there's talks
No,
happening back
yeah,
there.
we can see the panel and a pool
Yeah.
table. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
there's a pool table.
Also sitting right behind me, blurred out on the couch, is Vanishri Rao from Firma.
Ah,
So I got to meet her a second ago in person. Austin from O1 Labs is here. They have been talking about their new project Untitled, which Diego explained to me in the Uber ride over, which I still need to look into more to fully understand, but it seems like they have a very cool solution to state management problems using ZK.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, it's very nice because Brandon also explained how this can be used together with AI, and then
Mm.
you could choose how to, for example, selectively even disclose some information. Um, I think
Okay.
it's really cool.
Be careful with not oversharing because I know they're. I don't know exactly what exactly they have shared publicly.
No, no, this was given
Oh,
at the
okay.
talk at CK Hack,
Okay, perfect.
so um, it was really good. We had a lot of time to catch up with them. Uh, so yeah, they've been giving also this idea. It's very cool. Um, and yeah, today there are also other events hosted by several CK companies. But I don't think we will be able to make it to all, really.
Yeah,
Uh,
Lagrange has a whole, I think it's called Proof Point or something, but it's happening downtown, pretty far from the main venue. So, if anyone's listening and wants to chat with me, I'll be at House of ZK around the main venue for the whole day. Um, One thing, just general notes on ETH Denver that I'll maybe share would be, AI is a really major narrative now, as you are probably not surprised to hear. It's
Yeah.
been a sort of dominant narrative the past few months, and there are so many AI and agent-based events. A lot of excitement around that. I think there's definitely cool intersections between that and ZK that people are going to want to explore. Um, of course, Succinct and Risk Zero have been talking about their prover networks. Risk Zero put on a really great event called Bound for their Boundless project the other day, and they have a white paper coming out soon, which I'm excited to look at. And people are also talking about client-side proving, right? So there's this sort of tension between the prover networks, client-side proving, but overall, ZKVMs seem to be a very hot topic. There's
yeah,
panels on that
you,
today,
yeah, no, but you made me remember there was a very good talk by Snarkify on their GPU native CKVM. Okay, and right now, according to their benchmarks, they are faster than SP1. Of course, Mauro, you are the benchmark guy and the one holding the truth. So that's something we could try. But they were saying already that they are like faster and that the main bottlenecks are related to the execution of the trace. That is to say, you execute the VM, but then you have to generate the whole trace, and that is expensive. But they are saying they already know how to solve many of these issues. It's something that, according to what I've been talking with other teams, they've been saying widgets generation is really the true bottleneck. It takes more or less 80% of the time. The rest is just proving. And I don't know, they were very bullish on having like client side proving really soon by leveraging these GPU native CKVMs. Of course, as Boris
Can,
mentioned, yeah.
no, can you explain to people what is a witness and what do you mean by a witness generation? Let's say you're proving EVM block. Can you explain how it would like look like so people can get an understanding of what you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah. So imagine you want to run a block, so you have to execute some transactions. The thing is, to prove them, what you do is you generate this virtual machine, and so you have to record all the different calls that you have. For example, you could have a call to, I don't know, elliptic curvature, to a hash function or something. And so you record all the instructions that you have. Okay. But then to prove, the thing is you need to transform all those like records into a table that has to satisfy all the constraints. Okay. And the problem is that you start with the inputs and then you proceed to execute the code and you start generating these things. But the problem is this is done like sequentially, and
Mm.
so you cannot like generate it like super fast by leveraging, I don't know, parallelization. Okay, because there is like no easy way of parallelizing. Of course, some teams I think have already been exploring this, to execute like really fast and get like some like checkpoints, and then generate like these tables with uh, that are needed then to show that the constraints are satisfied in a parallel way. But this is like the problem. Say you record, okay, I am going to execute this instruction, this, but then you need to generate like the results and see that the result matches the inputs of every call. Okay, so that's something that is currently consuming a lot of resources. If you could like easily parallelize it, you could reduce proving time. But this is not right now. But I know that some teams, from what I've been talking, already are exploring ways of having this sequential execution be super fast and then generate like some checkpoints and then generate the traces in parallel.
Okay, thank you, Diego. Mauro, you have any points on this?
No, I think Diego summarized it very well, so nothing to add
Have
there.
but have you seen in the benchmarks you're doing? Have you noticed anything similar, or you haven't dived into too much detail on the benchmarking yet for this part?
Yeah, I don't have like what the benchmarks we are doing are like for from the perspective of someone trying to use a premium system. I they don't have information on the internals, so I don't have a breakdown of where the costs are. But so I cannot tell like where is the time being used. Uh, yeah, but we will see how it goes. One thing is, think all the teams are saying that they are faster than the other ones. That was my one of the things I learned or during the last 3 weeks. Like Snarkify now says that it's the fastest one. Pico says that they are the fastest one. SP1 says that they are the fastest one. Everyone is claiming to be the fastest one. Um, yeah, go ahead,
I,
Brian.
I have a question, Mauro. So, a couple weeks ago, I looked into Pico a bit because we covered it during the ZK news, and they described their sort of modular zkVM architecture, which they're saying can help them be faster for very specific tasks. With certain precompiles, maybe you don't need a final on-chain verification step. So I'm curious to hear your take on this approach. Will there be one fastest zkVM, or is it really on a use case per use case basis? Like for this application, this zkVM will be
Good
fastest.
question.
For proving Ethereum blocks, this will be the fastest. What do you think?
Yeah, the modular thing kinda exi kind of exists on all the VMs. The cool thing about Pico that of the modular approach is that uh, if you want to, I don't know, first generate all the star proofs because you like the stars, and one day you want to say, oh, and now I want to compress them into a snark because I already have this proof. It's easier to make a pipeline that in the future maybe you can pick some that you stop at some point of the pipeline and you can continue. With the other ones, from the beginning, you have to pick like where do you want to stop. And if you have one intermediate result, like it's hard to move. I think that's a question more of API. It's probably nicer the approach of Pico because it's a little bit more it gives you a little bit more of alternatives and it's not too complicated. It's just saying where you want to stop and being able to pipe things a little bit cleaner. Uh, but yes, leaving aside that, you can do similar things with the other VMs too. Uh, then there is a question if it makes sense to have uh, a more generic VM. Like it's true that Pico is probably the only one that allows you to change fields easily. Um, I'm not so sure about that. It might prove like a good idea, or it might be not. Like it depends. Like for right now the truth is that fields are kind of standardized. You use either Marsans or Baby Bear. Um, yeah, there isn't much reason to not to move away from that. Maybe if you want, I don't know what the CKVM from Polygon is using. Do you remember you? Do you have bigger field maybe?
Yeah,
Uh,
they are using mini Goldilocks, um, but that has to do with a design choice they made
yeah,
because they want to target different architectures. So, and besides, mini Goldilocks has like some advantages. Um, well, then I just saw Zach from Aztec going out from House of CK. It's interesting because they've been working a lot with Noir, and they explained like lots of the things they've been doing. Um, it's really cool because they designed an SDK with privacy in mind, and that gives you like some flexibility that maybe you don't get with CKVMs. CKVMs, general CKVMs, in order to be like efficient for some computations, what they do is add these chiplets or precompilers, which are specialized circuits. In the case of the SDK here, what you do is you just write um, like the code, and then you generate like the circuit directly. It's interesting because for client side and where privacy matters, it's important. Of course, it was a huge bet, but it was looking really good from what I've seen here. It seems that I have to jump to some other place, but uh, it's been nice being with you guys. Here
Go, Dio.
is the entrance, but nice talking to you. See you later.
Bye, bye, bye. Dio, thank you.
right, yeah.
Boris, correct me if I'm wrong. Diego is in a panel in a few minutes, right? He has
I
to.
think he's in a panel soon, and I think he said he has to meet with Jordi.
Ah,
Uh,
yes, he had a meeting before. Okay.
he's meeting with Jordi Bailina. Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot of interesting stuff. I mean, I've been thinking a bit about ZK VMs lately, and speaking with Yush yesterday, he sort of said they took what they were running for ZK email and they gave it to Risk Zero and SP1 and said, see how fast you can make it for generating, see how quickly you can generate or prove our program. I don't remember which was faster, but he was saying this could be a potential benchmark, depending if what you're trying to prove, what program you have. It seems like testing all of the compatible ZK VMs would probably be what I would want to do as a developer. I mean, there's other trade-offs where you're running the prover or the ZK VM, stuff like that. But I think it's cool to see a lot of competition within the space, a lot of different options for developers, and it's all very interesting to follow along with.
Yeah, I think it's happening something that we mentioned at the beginning of when we were just starting with Align. Someone will figure it out. There are many teams working on it. And in terms of performance, they all have the incentives to have the fastest VM. I think is yeah, and as with many things at this in nature and in technology, it looks like everyone is going to come up to a very similar solution because once someone figures out one optimization, the other team figures something similar as well. There might be a market for different type of CKVMs in the future that they address different problems, but most likely we'll see one optimal solution that will address most of them and it will be fast enough. Maybe, I don't know, we'll see. But the thing that we are sure is we'll see many of them, and I'm sure that developers are not going to have an easy time understanding which one is better. So one of the things we're doing, and that's why Mauro is putting a lot of effort in doing the benchmarks, that is helpful for us internally, but I think it's going to be helpful for developers. So they actually get a neutral kind of point of view of where is the tech, how fast it is, and I think we should talk also about developer UX, Mauro. I don't know what you think about it.
Yeah. I think like there is a lot of progress in the UX. They are easier to use than what they were like 2 years ago. But it's hard actually to get the right configurations to make things run
Mm.
faster. Like that's one thing I was seeing with the teams. I talk with people from Rig Zero or SP1 or Chico, and they all come with like, hey, but you can make it go faster if you pick this parameter and you put the number here. And it's like how I was supposed to know that there were some magic numbers that I can just put around and things go faster. That kind of things for me they are still a little bit clunky. Uh,
It,
is it also makes it very hard for people to measure it because I mean
Yeah,
you need to take a lot of time to optimize each VM and like tune it and get the right configuration for each machine because it's not even so generic. Like each machine has a, like kind of a perfect configuration. So
it makes me think of, in science, when you publish a paper, you publish very detailed methods, um, the protocol for whatever experiment you do, and the tiniest things can really have an impact on the final data you get. So you write extremely, extremely detailed methods, but even with that, if you're going to be seriously doing a large set of experiments following a protocol and it's not something from your own lab, you probably want to talk to the lab that published that paper and
mm,
try to get this sort of
yeah,
tacit knowledge that you really only can get. Like, this is why you go and you visit another lab for 2 weeks to learn the technique, to see how they pipette, how they arrange tubes, a lot of small details which can have big effects and impact reproducibility. So I think with software and engineering, it's a bit easier to standardize. Maybe you're running it on the
yeah.
same set of machines in the cloud, for example. But yeah,
at least there are no living organisms like depending on this yet. Like
well, it depends if you consider AI agents to be alive.
Yeah, I think
uh,
we're still early in kind of some of this stuff. Juli, that is another of the engineers of Align, told me that the documentation on, for example, I think he was talking specifically about Zero, it was not very clear on many of the things of how to run off this. So yeah, we will. I think we should at some point share like a blog, Mauro, or something like maybe with the benchmarks, but also talking about the experience of where we see the experience of actually trying to run many of them and the differences and all of these details that you're mentioning. Because I think it's good feedback for the teams that they probably know, but everyone is rushing. Like it's understandable when you're trying
yeah,
to be the fastest, you are trying to get there, and you say, okay, well, I will fix this later. But I think it's important for the industry to know about this because in the end, you want teams like you have software teams, and in those teams, the people who run all of this, they need to be able to run it by their own, to test stuff on their own, to make decisions that is in terms of infrastructure and trust assumptions and costs that I think is important. So it doesn't rely only on using prover networks because what I don't like is I see many teams saying, "Oh, okay, this is not a problem because in the end, it will always be hard." I think you told me, Boris. I don't know if it was succinct that they were like, "It's always going to be hard to run a prover, so you will just run it in our prover network." I don't like that. Like, you should be able to run your own prover at least on your laptop if you want to test something, or being able to quickly run a GPU and have your own server for your prover. So I think we should talk about that.
yeah.
Okay, Leandro from Lambda.
Yeah,
No, what do
And
you
it's
think,
another
Leandro?
interesting thing is that I don't know if you have seen like the cost of running things in, for example, SP1 prover network, and there is always some additional cost on the last part of the process that is only needed for Ethereum that we call the NAR compression. Uh, and that's going to be really interesting in a line. I want to make some benches, but I'm quite confident now that we will reduce the proving cost of every network that needs to run in Ethereum, which is not part of our I don't know our phrases, but now we can say reducing like verification and proving costs kind of by a collateral accident.
Completely unexpected, but we are doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
it's
we
hard to
always
explain that
talk about. Yeah.
by reducing the verification cost, you can also reduce the proving cost because you can verify more expensive things.
Yeah. Align increases bandwidth and reduces latency. kind of like the Solana meme, but for CK.
At the
Yeah.
speed of light.
Not yet.
Um, yeah, coming back quickly to running CKVMs locally. I do remember that was a problem that a lot of our hackers had during our Align Builders
True.
Hackathon in October. They were trying to run things locally, and it required quite a bit of troubleshooting, and it was slow. To generate
Hmm.
proofs, they were waiting many minutes, and it depended on how good their laptop was. Not everyone had an M3 Max M3 Pro MacBook Pro, um, which is tough, especially I think like for future hackathons, we should figure out a good way to help developers use CKVMs, maybe provide some sort of info or partner with, uh, you know, some projects to make that easier because yeah, there were people, hackers, very talented developers in India who don't have top of the line laptops, and they're trying to generate proofs from CKVMs
Hmm.
to verify with Aligned, and it was a bit of a struggle. So
We could
Yeah,
run
I
maybe
think
a server.
yeah, I think most of the projects right now are not carrying out local proving. It's something that I personally don't like. I mean, but I understand. They are all rushing to prove Ethereum and going to real-time proving. I think like the first ones to reach that point might have some advantages for infra, like creating L2s, side chains, app chains, that kind of things. But in the meanwhile, they have all forgotten about local proving, and it's not something impossible. So that's good that Diego was talking about. That's the Aztec is probably one of the few projects that they care about that.
Yeah.
Because they need it. They are building a privacy-oriented L2, so you cannot delegate the proving. But hopefully, after we get to real-time proving, that some teams start focusing on it. I'm also not so sure that you can get to real-time proving so easily. I mean, we need to get like real-time proving by a huge margin because we are also wanting to expand the capacity of Ethereum. And if we increase the gas limits of Ethereum, it's a moving target, So we
Yeah.
probably need to be able to handle like 10 times the current capacity to be able
That's
to
actually,
keep up.
we should do some napkin calculations on that, Mauro, because there's a lot of discussions around increasing the gas limit. Maybe we should talk about, hey, if we want real-time proving plus increasing the gas limit, we should take into account that CK needs to get X times better per year or whatever. I don't know if it's linear or not, the relationship between
It,
gas and proving time.
it is quite linear. It's not perfectly linear because not all the operation costs the same, but in practice, it's almost linear. Uh, you might have
Okay.
some block that is an exception, but another alternative is to think in rebalancing the cost of the operation. Vitalik has proposed that at some point. So maybe you can increase the limit, but raise the price of things that are expensive, more expensive to prove. For example, the ketchups.
Okay.
Kind of balance, like make everything cheaper, but the ketchups or whatever. Uh,
So I know we've been going on for a bit, but I had a question, something that I saw on Twitter the other day. I have it open in a tab, have not had a chance to dig into it, but it was talking about Poseidon hashes on Ethereum. Did you guys see this?
Do you mean
thing,
the discussion around the safety of Poseidon?
No, it was about. Let me see if I can find it quickly. If you don't know, maybe we'll save it for next week. But it was. It
Mauro
seemed.
probably knows
no,
it
it
is
has.
something.
I haven't seen anything from the last week, but it has been like a conversation for like a year or more. Like to have something more secure friendly like Poseidon. Um, I haven't seen that progress a lot.
I have.
And also, oh, nice. I'm not so sure how they handle because when you say ketchup, it's always the same. When you say Poseidon, it's not always the same because you can have Poseidon for
Mhm.
for every field. So we probably need like 3 or 4 Poseidons or a parameter. Uh, I don't know
Yeah.
how.
So
It's
I
not.
found the I found the tweet, and Vitalik tweeted that we are seriously considering migrating Ethereum to the Poseidon hash to optimize ZK prover friendliness. He
Well,
tweeted this 2 days ago.
but what Mauro says is like if you move to Poseidon, let's say, I think that will mean that everything you build, like all the hash function you use internally for Merkle trees and everything will be Poseidon. But if that's the case, it depending on which field element you size you use, it will benefit one proving system or the other one, right?
Yeah, of course. If you do Poseidon for Baby Bear, all the provers that they don't use Baby Bear, they're going to be much
Yeah,
slower. So it's not
yeah.
the end of the world. It depends on the definition, but it's still much better. I think it's a good initiative. Maybe we can agree that maybe Baby Bear is a field to use, but that's if they do a full migration, but which is probably the idea. If not, maybe at least having a Solidity operand, it might be useful.
But wait, Mauro, I have a question. If you move everything to Poseidon, what happens with blocks in the past?
Or you have to verify them with Ketchup. I'm not sure how to redo the transition. So the
Mm.
user mechanism though is that you use your protocol, and then in some block you change to the new protocol. That means that your code base is going to be kind of clunky because it has to support all the previous version of Ethereum. I think that's something people from Etrex on Lambda were dealing. But I'm not so sure about how you migrate the state. I think it's going to be quite messy. But there might be a big advantage on doing that. I think at that point you can have a super chain that goes much faster than Ethereum, and you can see prove it in real time.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Uh, okay, guys, I think we have already 40 minutes of stream. I don't know if anyone wants to say anything else, but I believe we cover a lot of things. We can talk more about the benchmarks next week, Mauro. I think we will have more interesting things to share. But the main takeaway, I think, for people is like to explain that we are working on some improvements on a line that we can share on the roadmap later. Nothing, no, not big changes for now, at least in the short term. But we're working on these benchmarks that are really important for us internally to define certain priorities internally for our roadmap, and also for certain products and go to market that we want to do. So with that information, we will be able to tell you, hey, this is what we want to do in the next couple of weeks, and we would like you to participate. Um, yeah, we have some ideas. I don't want to overshare now, but once we have concrete numbers, we will be able to sit down with Mauro, Diego, and Fede to see, okay, uh, is this crazy idea we have something possible that we can do with the community or not? So we will share whenever we have numbers. Yeah, and thank you, Boris, for joining from there. And probably, if you want to follow more Denver stuff, Boris will be sharing from his account. And probably next week we will have a summary done from Align. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, RJ. Nice
Yeah,
seeing you, Mauro.
this is yours.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, Boris.